Hello and welcome to the all-new Sky Sports Golf podcast presented by Callaway. The pod has had a refresh, a new look, and I am your new host, Jamie Weir. First things first, I have to say, impossibly large shoes to fill. Josh has poured his heart and soul into this podcast for the last 6 years, having built it from scratch, pretty much single-handedly responsible for the success that it's become, having built up a loyal fan base of listeners, and I know a lot of you will miss him terribly. I will do my very best to fill the chasm left by Josh. Each week I will be joined by some of Sky Sports Golf's top pundits, and we'll hear from some of the top players in the sport as often as we can as well. And what a way to kickstart the new era today. We'll be looking back at Rory McIlroy's win at Pebble Beach, ruminating on some of the big news in the world of golf. We have an interview with Sepp Straka himself, of course, in the mix at Pebble, and I'm delighted to say I have not one but two very special guests joining me on today's show. First of all, the one and only David Howell. How are you, Howler?
Oh, very well, thank you. Good to be on the show, Jamie. Thanks for inviting me.
Well, thank you very much for being one of my first guests, and fresh off a win yesterday, no less, in Bahrain, Laurie Canter is here too. Laurie, how are you on a sort of exhausted scale of 1 to 10? How are you feeling today?
Yeah, probably a 7 or an 8. Fairly tired today, but managed to get myself into the room at Qatar, and nice to be here, and honoured to be here for your first show, Jamie.
Well, thank you so much indeed. I mean, you must be absolutely buzzing just thinking back to yesterday.
Yeah, no, obviously, delighted. I think anytime you get a chance to win, I mean, it took me so long to win a tournament, and obviously, I think now to have got my second one, it was good. I think I kind of had a kind of idea of what to expect a little bit more after, it meant I could really sort of enjoy the evening and sort of soak in a little bit.
I mean, the obvious question: how much was your success down to your putting coach?
Sorry, I actually got half that question, but I can guess from Howler's laugh.
Yes, how much was the win down to your wonderful putting coach that you have?
He could definitely take some credit. I think we both went into it, into the sort of Howler helping me with my putting, fairly open-minded, but he's been great, I have to say. He's been right on me every day with my practice, and I think it's early days, but I think some good signs. He's been a great member of the team.
A little feather in your cap, Howler, there.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, it's a real privilege for me for Laurie to have asked me to try and help out a little bit, and it's been an absolute thrill for me. So it's the first time I've ever watched a golf tournament fully invested in someone else's success, which was a revelation, actually. So it was lovely to watch yesterday. Well, he's a great mate, Laurie, and so it seems strange to say I'm proud of him, but that was amazing. He did exactly what I thought he knows he's capable of. And the second win came along pretty quickly since we started doing a little bit together. But listen, it's all him, really, just a tiny bit of help along the way from me. But it was great viewing and fully deserved.
Oh, we've got a love in here on the Sky Sports Golf podcast. I love it. Look, we're going to discuss Laurie's win in Bahrain in a little bit more detail shortly, but we will start at Pebble Beach, a thrilling finish, an Irish 1-2 with a new Irish host on the podcast as well. Rory McIlroy winning by 2 shots from his great pal Shane Lowry. Rory's 27th PGA Tour victory at what he called one of the cathedrals of golf. Let's hear what Rory had to say when he spoke to Nick Doherty after that final round.
For you, how close are you to peak Rory McIlroy from the best golf that you've seen yourself play across the years?
Yeah, look, I'm close. I'm pretty close. There's still, I feel like I controlled my ball flight well in the crosswinds this week. I drove the ball really well. There's still, look, I think I'll always nitpick, and there's always things about my game that I want to try to get better, because that's just who I am, and I'm trying to get the most out of myself all the time. But I have to also accept at the same time that, where my game's at right now, it's in a really good shape, and, probably as sharp as it's ever been at the end of January, start of February, heading into the season. So, really, really happy with where everything is.
Howler, in another of his post-round interviews, Rory spoke about starting as he means to go on. A statement of intent, perhaps what we can hope to see from Rory in 2025.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's funny if you go back 50, a year. It was a lackluster performance from Rory last year. He finished way down the pecking order, and that almost sort of set the trend for 2024. Wholly different this year. Hole in one on day one, got off to a flyer, and then playing alongside his great mate Shane yesterday, and Sepp, of course, another Ryder Cup colleague. He was sensational yesterday, Roy. It was really him at his best. Strolled through the back nine. The two shots he hit to 14 were epic. Only he could have hit those shots pretty much in that field, certainly. And that was the killer blow, and it was absolutely thrilling. The best PGA Tour event I've seen in an awful long time. The Pro-Am cut down to 2 days. Great players up there. Justin did some heroics at the end. Shane was brilliant, found the birdie at the last. It was a European love-in, and the best player, bar Scheffler in the field, of course, who also played well, won the spoils as well. And it was an absolute thrill to commentate over. And so the way he came down the last couple of holes was just brilliant. I've never seen him look more relaxed and assured in the lead than he did yesterday, which hopefully does set the trend for him in 2025. If it does, it's going to be an epic year.
And I have to say, I mean, Pebble Beach always looks spectacular, but there were some new drone angles as well this week in the TV coverage, and it just looked incredible. I mean, seeing the line that Rory took off the tee on the 14th, for example. As you said, he turned on the afterburners in that back nine, playing a 6-hole stretch from the 10th to the 15th in 5 under par. That just kind of broke the back of the chasing pack. Laurie, I don't know if you got much of a chance to watch it. I highly doubt it, given the time difference. But when Rory is in full flight, there really is not much better things to watch in golf.
Yeah, he is the best. I think he's the player that the players probably enjoy watching the most as well, if that makes sense. Just for some of the stuff he does with the ball. I think his ability to go at kind of every pin as well is impressive as from a player watching another player, because I think we all have a favorite shot or a thing we like doing. And seemingly like the height he can hit the ball and the stuff he can do with it, and he's willing to take on. He is so entertaining to watch. I get I think him probably tee to green when he's on, it is, you're watching someone special. I think everyone realizes he's what he can do with a golf ball. Tee to green is pretty unrivaled. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Laurie talks about the fact that he sort of takes on so many pins, and he does, of course, and he will continue to do that. But he spoke after his round on Saturday about one of his aims for 2025 being to make fewer errors, kind of to play more sensible golf. In his own words, he said to be more like Scotty Scheffler. And that is the one thing that has kind of hurt Rory and has hurt us as fans of Rory, that there seems to be a mistake in there that leads not just to a bogey, but to a double bogey or triple bogey. If he can just cut out those errors, he will be tough to beat.
Well, for sure, but that's the difficulty. He's like a glamorous golfer, isn't he, Rory? The way he plays, which being that he's a sexy golfer. He can do those things which are just amazing that others can't. But with that, comes some some downsides, and you can't be that genius and that artistic without necessarily making a few mistakes. But for sure, if he can be clinical in closing out tournaments, which he was yesterday, and he's great around the hole nowadays. He holds out well. He's got a great short game, of course he has. And he has got that extra firepower that Scheffler hasn't got. And if you can pair that with being a killer when he's in the mix, which he was yesterday. I like the way he played the 18th. We were commentating, Andrew Coltart, Dane Laura, and myself. And what's he going to hit off 18? He was got a 3-shot lead, but Shane could make eagle. That could easily happen. And I was just so happy to see him pull out a 4-iron. And no ego whatsoever. And I'm going to just knock it down this hole, and I'm going to win this tournament. And it was brilliant. I really enjoyed that. I didn't want to see him pull driver out. So for sure, he's got to get that clinical nature at closing out tournaments. He probably had that a little bit more early in his career, bit more scar tissue along the way, as always happens when you're on tour for best part of 2 decades now. And if he can get that balance right, he could be a real threat. And there's nothing more important for Rory than listen, the belief you get. Laurie will feel this, going into tournaments over the next 2 weeks. The belief you get from closing out a championship, winning a big championship like he's done, signature event at Pebble Beach, an iconic venue, that's just going to fill Rory with that extra bit of juice, that extra bit of confidence that he needs going into major season, which we know is what Rory is all about.
Rory and Shane, as I said, finishing first and second, two best pals, and they both had holes in one on the same day on Thursday. Rory at Spyglass, Shane at Pebble on the iconic 7th. Shane's hole in one CV now reads the 17th at TPC Sawgrass, the 16th at Augusta, the 7th at Pebble Beach. My question to both of you is, and I'll ask you first, Laurie, if you were compiling a top 5 of the most iconic, not necessarily the best, the most iconic par 3s in world golf, would all 3 of those be in it, and what would the other 2 be?
I think those 3 would be in it. Yeah, I think the postage stamp would probably be one on my list as well. And then I guess you'd probably put you'd probably go 16 at Scottsdale this week.
Oh, really?
Is it 16 par 3?
Yeah, the 16th. I mean, I was thinking maybe the 12th at Augusta would be the top 5. But yeah, the 16th
There's no
at
fans around the
Scottsdale.
green. Quite one, isn't it?
Yeah, that is true. What's your top 5, Howler?
Yeah, well, listen, you've named them, but I think, let's make it a top 6. Let's go with Augusta as well. Just postage stamp, Scottsdale, and then maybe just Augusta when you're about 56 years old and you're just you're back there because you've already won it and you're going through that, that statesman sort of era, and you just knock in a nice 8-iron to that back right pin on Sunday with no one around. That would be sweet as, wouldn't it?
I think in time, when it becomes more of a sort of recognised and established open venue, I think the 16th at Royal Portrush can probably be up there as well. Calamity as an iconic par 3. But it's funny because we think of the Old Course as the most iconic golf course in the world, but neither the par 3s there are particularly standout holes at the Old Course, are they?
No. Sorry, I thought Laurie was going to go there. No, I mean, as great as maybe you could hold it at the 18th at St Andrews off the tee. Just finish up with a par 4. So, some of us have had holes in one on par 4s, of course, along the way. I'm not sure if Laurie has, or Jamie, you might have done, but I think one of us on the podcast probably has.
I've not had too many holes in 4 on par 4, so I definitely haven't had a hole in 1. How many holes in 1 on the Laurie Canter CV, Lawrence?
5 for me.
5, and which is the most pleasing of the 5?
I think probably my first one. It was. I think you always remember your first, don't they say? And I got it's a 17th. It's an underdog. Kind of. It's almost like a little blind par 3 up the hill. And I was just out. I was just playing with my dad. So, and it was obviously lovely. nice to be out there to celebrate your first one. Yep. Nothing really of note in a tournament as yet.
Stunning spots in Denodoc as well. Fair play. Go on, Howler. You look like you want to say something.
Yeah, well, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, Laurie, but have you ever had a hole in one on tour where there's a car on the back of the tee, and you get the hole in one, you play for the next 5 holes, and you make the cut at Wentworth, and you assume and you know that you've got a 75 grand car going on the driveway the following week, and then the man from the tour tells you that this year, and this year only, in the 50-year history of the event, we are giving that car, or more importantly, I am giving that car to charity. I'm not sure this ever happened to you, but talk about a blow to the solar plexus. True story, that happened to me. And the following day, I got up to drive my car back to Wentworth for round 3 for the BMW PGA Championship. And I couldn't drive my car because I'd driven over a nail and I had a full-on puncture. Quick bit on Monday morning, spending £246.50 on a new tyre. So, how these things happen to me, I do not know. But there we go. It did.
There you go, David Howell. David Howell, the great philanthropist. He doesn't like to talk about his charity work, but he just has. As a putting coach, would you recommend putting with a 3-wood from off the green like Justin Rose did at the 18th at Pebble Beach? He did a pretty decent job with it.
100%. And the hybrid. Get the hybrid out. I talk about this with amateurs all the time. I've even talked about it with Laurie. Do you know what? Short game is all about getting the ball in the hole, and it's about choosing the appropriate shot at the appropriate moment. And very often that is a 3-wood or 5-wood or a hybrid, and it's not a stand wedge or a mid wedge or whatever. And the short game gets easier and easier. That was real class from Justin yesterday. Tiger Woods, he always made that shot sexy all those years ago at Pinehurst. We've seen Brian, who won the Open doing that? Was it Brian Watts? Is that the?
That's correct.
Yeah, he
Well, he got into a playoff, didn't he? Yeah.
into a playoff. There we go. That was amazing. When I saw the 3-wood in his hand yesterday, it coming to the end, it was an amazing end to the tournament. All these great things were happening. For that one to actually go in, which was, by the way, a lot of cash, a lot of points, a lot of success on the line there for Justin. Let's talk about Bethpage. Maybe that's the one that makes the difference for the points for him. It was brilliant and great to see. No doubt about that. It was a great celebration as well.
Okay, let's move on to Bahrain as we have the champion with us. Laurie Canter, victorious in a playoff against Pablo Larrazabal and Dan Brown. A stunning 9-iron into the last in that playoff to set up a birdie and claim his second DP World Tour title just a few months on from his first in Germany, and it lifts him to a career high world ranking of 51. Laurie, you must just feel like you are playing the golf of your life at the moment and brimming with confidence.
Yeah, I do, to be honest. I feel I feel kind of happy with where my game's at and the stuff I'm working on, which I think is important. I think to feel obviously like you're doing a lot of things well, but I still feel like there's a lot of things I can improve. So in that respect, that's like a motivating thing. But yeah, at the moment, certainly like the tee to green stuff, I've got a pretty good handle on, and then I've got the Howler now giving me giving me some help. I mean, the title of putting coach probably isn't fair. He's sort of turned into I guess a kind of all round mentor. But yeah, I think with where my game's going and the opportunities in front of me, I'm excited to kind of have a good clear run of golf now. I know what I'm doing and where I'm playing, and that hasn't kind of been that clear for a couple of years for me. So it's I can kind of go after it now and hopefully get myself into a few of these bigger tournaments later this year.
Well, you mentioned opportunities and you mentioned big tournaments. We touched upon this earlier. Now, number 51 in the world. So a first ever appearance at the Masters is within touching distance. How do you possibly put that back to the back of your head for the next few weeks, or do you not? Do you personally put it to the forefront of your head, as in, that is my goal, I need to get into the top 50 by the beginning of April, and that is now my target?
Yeah, do you know, I was thinking about exactly that today, because in the past I've tried to probably shield myself from stuff in terms of, that would be nice, but no, I really I want to play in the Masters. Like, this is a golden opportunity to do it. So I kind of would rather face into that and accept that is like a complete lifelong boyhood dream to do, to play that tournament. So no, I want to go after it. I guess what I've got going for me with the way the world ranking system work is I don't have a lot of points to defend. So the points I play, I'm going to be accumulating points rather than defending them, if that makes sense. So that means I can enter the tournament. So I enter as many as I can effectively, within reason. And yeah, like I say, face into the fact that I'd really want to play at Augusta, and I think that's good. That is so motivating to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, why not?
Howler is beaming like a proud father here. Howler, you touched upon it a little bit earlier, but just talk a bit more. Just how proud are you of this guy? Because number 330 in the world, he dropped to a couple of years ago in July of 2023. Now knocking on the door of that top 50, knocking on the door of an invitation to Augusta. I mean, you're buzzing for him, I can tell.
Yeah, well, listen, Laurie. I mean, it's a bit weird talking about him with him watching on, but he knows how good he. I think. Well, I know how good he can be, and when we have a little chin wag every now and then, it's the me just trying to remind him that the world is his oyster. He was a rubbish putter, so it's a good place for a putting coach to start with. Had an awful grip, setup was rubbish, and couldn't read a green. No. He was still brilliant. So quite nice when someone comes to you and just says, can you teach me to putt like you? And I said, well, I don't know, but I'll have a go at it. But listen, Laurie is one of the world's great ball strikers. Make no mistake about that. And he can do some great things in this game. The wins are starting to come, and I don't see any limit to where your guest can go in this game over the next few years if he stays fit and healthy and has a little bit of luck on his side. And it's going to be really interesting whether involved with him or from the sidelines, just on the TV, watching to see what he can do. But hopefully Augusta beckons, and it might just well suit him.
Oh, let's hope so. I mean, Laurie, you mentioned this after your round in your interview, how being part of the Team Cup in Dubai alongside major champions like Justin, who we've mentioned, Frankie, major champions perhaps in waiting like Tyrrell and Tommy, allowed you to see how they handle pressure. Just talk a bit more about that and how much you sort of absorbed by osmosis that week.
So we had a really interesting speaker one day who was talking about the psychology of penalty kicks. It's just something I would not normally sign up to do. It was just Luke brought him in to talk about pressure, and what I found interesting was him sharing ideas of penalty takers and traits that he notices a crossover between football and golf. And for me, one of the things that stuck with me was that when the really great penalty takers he was talking about, Kylian Mbappe, they're happy to take their time in that scenario. They're not trying to rush through it, and I think it was quite transferable to what we experience in golf, because kind of having the lead or being in a pressure situation, often you can find yourself kind of potentially speeding up or trying to kind of almost get it done with, so that was a kind of small snippet, just a talk that we had that kind of made me think differently about how I might approach it when I'm in that scenario again. And for me, anytime you get to spend time with Tommy, Tyrrell, Justin, and actually everyone in the team room is a really, really classy player. So just that even playing darts with them, this is how relaxed they are in the evening, whatever it might be, versus the image you have in your head. I guess kind of recognizing everyone's different, but at the same time noticing that there are traits and there are things that are, there are important things you need to do to help you perform your best and relax. So I think I just felt really privileged and lucky to be in that scenario. And that's before you got, I had one afternoon where Jose Maria Olazabal was filling up my water bottle for me, which is just just beyond anything that I was complete comprehension, frankly. So I think having those sort of scenarios, and then ultimately, actually playing well at the Team Cup and feeling like I came through that experience as a better golfer, then I think that does obviously help breed a bit of belief. I still feel like I'm a long way off being a world-class golfer, like I am. I've got lots to do, but I think you need to be around those people playing those venues to kind of have an understanding of that and where you need to go.
Yeah, yesterday was a fantastic day. We had an Irish winner on the PGA Tour, an English winner on the DP World Tour, only one winner when it came to the Six Nations on Saturday in Dublin. But, same old, same old. This isn't a rugby podcast. We'll save that for another day. Moving on to other news. Victor Hovland finishing a tie for 22nd at Pebble, 10 under par. He's withdrawn from next week's tournament in Phoenix, but he began the week by saying in an interview that he sucks at golf right now. Hyler, what is going on with Victor Hovland?
Victor's got in his own way, hasn't he? No doubt about that. There's been many people over the years who have tried to master this game. We're always making decisions as pro golfers. You change your coach. You're making decisions all the time. And maybe you don't realize how many good decisions you're making when you're on the way up. And it only takes, one wrong decision, or certainly two, and things can get a little bit more difficult. And most golfers over the course of a 3-decade career have faced those moments. Victor's facing that now. He looked a lot better last week to me. The little fade was back. He uses very blunt, honest language, doesn't he? And, I was certainly someone with my self-appraisal that spoke in those terms as well. And And Victor is one of those, which is great for us in the press to listen to his press conferences and hear his words. Not necessarily all that helpful for him. He might find over the course of time, but he's going to be just fine. He looked pretty good again last week. Yeah. He doesn't suck at golf. He sucks compared to where he was, but he was just about the best player in the world. He might be the 30th best player in the moment. He still has had chances to win. He nearly won a major last year.
Yeah.
Mistake. He played brilliantly. He has that class within him. He doesn't need a run up for 3 or 4 months to suddenly do something brilliant. If he finds it, he's got enough belief in his own game to go and win. It might just happen sooner than he thinks. Yeah, he's going to take his time. Do you know what? He's got the luxury of being able to play 4-round tournaments, one a month if he wants, and then a sprinkling of some major championships to just build his confidence back in. Maybe it was something just as simple as that when it comes to Phoenix. Do you know what? I could do without the crowds. I could do without maybe missing a cut. It may not be thinking that way, but if he is thinking that way, probably quite wise. Just build in slowly, one rung up that ladder again till he gets right back to the top of the game. I think he will get there, no doubt about it. And he looks to be in better shape now than he was 6 months ago to me. So I think Luke Donald will be looking on, expecting Victor to be there at Bethpage. And the Victor that we know and love, one of the world's great players.
Yeah, he'll find it again, I'm sure. Form is temporary, class is permanent. The other big news last week was Tom McKibben joining John Rahm's Legion 13 team on Live, relinquishing the PGA Tour card, which he earned on the DP World Tour last year. Howler, it was sort of... There's a lot of talk about this for a few months, so maybe not a surprise, but are you surprised at the decision that he has made eventually?
Well, it's difficult, I guess, when an offer drops on your doorstep for life-changing money. No one knows how much money that is. Tom's a great talent, obviously, and he's going to have a great career no matter where he plays. I'm sure of that. He seems. My take would be he's taken a decision which guarantees himself financial security for the rest of his life, probably. He's going to win a load of money on Live in the next couple of years, barring any injuries or so forth. So he will have set himself up very, very nicely for the rest of his days by the end of his 2 or 3 years over there. What's he put in jeopardy with that? Well, the more traditional route following his mate Rory, to greatness in mainstream golf, majors, Ryder Cups, they're all still doable. It just makes it more difficult, I would suggest. And that's the trade that Tom has made. We always get asked, and would you do the same thing? What would you do? No one can possibly say until you're facing those circumstances. And golf is fickle. Look at Victor Hovland just saying, his game is the ebbs and flows of golf.
Just one little final bit on the news agenda before we let Laurie go. We're now a few weeks into the TGL. We had Rory versus Tiger last week. Laurie, I don't know how much of it you've managed to catch so far, but reflections on how it's going?
Okay, I really like the TGL. I've read mixed reviews, and there's people talking about who's it supposed to be for and all that kind of stuff. But I really like it as a golf. I think it's fun. I think the players are figuring it out, but I like watching it. I think the course designs and the ability for that to kind of change and evolve over time, I think it's interesting, like a completely different thing. I like the fans. I like the fact that there's like still a live element to it in terms of inside 60 yards. There's like, they're on a green and around it. I kind of like the needle between the players. I like the hammer, throwing the hammer. I'm kind of all in on it. I think it's going to be good. I think it needs a bit of air, and people need to stop being potentially get on their high horse about it, because there's been a lot of that. Like it's just a different form of golf, and it doesn't need to be as important as the Open Championship, but it's live golf on telly. I like it. I've watched 2 full matches and enjoyed it. So there you go.
Howler, I'm completely with Laurie on this. This is where I sort of stand, right? It's not taking itself too seriously. It's not trying to replace 72-hole golf. It's trying to be additive to it, something a bit different, bit of razzmatazz, primetime TV time in the US, players mic'd up. It's just a bit of fun. And yes, there will be golf traditionalists who say, well, it's not proper golf. Well, do you know what? It's not for you then. It's for a different audience. So what is wrong with having it?
Yeah, it is a bit of fun, but I bet your bottom dollar that there's still some nerves and anxiety. They're right on the show. It's funny. You can play, Laurie won last week. And if the timings don't work out and so forth, you're not in a feature group Thursday, Friday, just the nature of the game of golf, you can go under the radar for much of the week. To be honest with you, as Laurie did until Sunday afternoon. There at TGL, you are right in front of everybody for 2 hours. And the next time Kevin Kistner gets another bunker shot, he's going to be nervous.
Yes.
You know, they're struggling with the chipping. They're duffing it. They're starting to look like, at times, because of the nature of it, they look like amateurs do on a Saturday and Sunday. How often do you see the boys duff a chip because they're coming off the AstroTurf? They're doing all sorts. So I think it's good. I like the fact that it's just 2-3 months of the year, January, February, whatever the schedule is. I think that's right. Well, and then maybe, just maybe, the people that watch will miss it for 8 months and look forward to next January when it comes back again. So I think it's a really good effort at something different in the golf sphere. And kudos to everybody that's been involved. I think it's great.
Yeah, here. Absolutely. Laurie, listen, I'm not going to let you go now. I think you've got dinner with your best pal to get ready for. Is that right?
Yeah, ish. Yeah, we've got a little celebratory dinner tonight that we're doing. So I'm off to see Eddie Pepperell. That's right. Yeah,
Lord Pepperell. Friend
Lord
of the pod,
Pepperell,
do send him our love. Congratulations again yesterday. It was great to watch. We'll let you go. We'll take a break there. When we come back, we'll be hearing from European Ryder Cup hopeful Sepp Straka. Welcome back to the Sky Sports Golf Podcast. Laurie has made way to get ready for his dinner with Lord Pepperell. David Howell is still with me. But now to my chat with Sepp Straka, the 36 and 54-hole leader at Pebble Beach. Eventually finished in a tie for 7th, but I spoke to him just after he'd won his 3rd event on the PGA Tour, the American Express, a couple of weeks ago. And I began by asking him what pleased him most about that win.
I think probably the hot putter. Worked on the putter over the off season and just try to get the mid range a lot better. Where hitting better putts mid range and give myself more chances to make putts. And worked in Hawaii pretty well. And obviously last week I was able to make a lot of mid range putts, and that was really nice to see.
Do you feel you've entered now a different stratosphere, a different tier of player? You're a player who is a legitimate top 20 player in the world, that you can now even start to aim to peak for 4 weeks a year?
Yeah, I think my goal is always to get my game just to improve throughout the year. I don't know necessarily about peaking for the 4 weeks. Now, the preparation for each of those majors is a little bit different than the regular tournaments for sure. But I think I just like to get my game to be more consistent every year, and that way I could give myself more chances in those major championships. And that's kind of the goal, just to keep giving myself chances. And the better that my game gets, the more I will have those chances.
You must be able to arrive though at major weeks now and think there is absolutely no reason I can't be lifting that trophy come Sunday.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think my best is good enough. A lot of things have to come together. You can't really force a major or force a tournament. You just have to prepare and have to get your game as sharp as possible. And then just try to let it happen. Try to hit the shots and execute. And that there's a few weeks where I felt like I had the game. A few things just didn't go my way, and hopefully I can have more of those this year.
This week, this year, is there one major in particular which is already sort of circled in the Sepp Straka diary? Are you thinking, obviously, Augusta is Augusta every year, but Quail Hollow or Oakmont or Royal Portrush, is one of those in particular whetting your appetite?
Yeah, I think Augusta's always circled, but I think Portrush is. I've heard from a lot of players, a lot of caddies, that's their favorite Open, and just really excited to get there. That's going to be a really special one, and I've always loved the Open. It's just a special week, and yeah, that one's definitely circled in there as well.
Well, you're speaking to a Northern Irishman, so that's the right answer. Portrush is the right answer. Obviously at Hoylake, okay, albeit 6 shots behind Brian Harman, but it was a runner-up finish, and the weather that week was absolutely stinking. So you've shown that you can play golf in horrible British links conditions on those classic links courses.
Yeah, for sure. I've gotten a lot better at links golf over the years. I played, before I started playing professionally, I played one junior tournament there. It was the Duke of York at Royal St. George's, and it was a nightmare. I didn't know what to do. It was my first time playing real links golf, and I was 16 years old. I didn't know how to hit it low, and I had a tough time with it, but yeah, I think my skill sets kind of matches up better for that major than a lot of others. And yeah, I mean, nobody likes to play in those conditions, but at the Open, you kind of just enjoy it and know it's part of it. And yeah, maybe we'll have some more of those conditions this year.
You've gone through two life-changing things relatively recently. I'm going to come on to the second one in a bit, but obviously the first, becoming a father. So what has that been like? How is Leo?
It's great. It's been a great journey. He's just over a year now, and time is just flying. You know, he's learning a new word every other day, and trying to walk, and it's just been so much fun. It was great to get back here yesterday morning and be able to celebrate him and my wife, and yeah, it's been a great ride.
Just English words for now, or will he be learning German at some point as well?
He's got a few German words in there. Yeah. I'm gonna speak German to him, and my wife will speak English. I think living over here, he'll be kind of more advanced in the English side, but yeah, he's definitely gonna be learning German.
The other life-changing event that I was alluding to, and I've already mentioned Brian Harman, who I think played a key role in this, is like many men in your 30s, you realize you were fighting a losing battle against the hairline. It was a different look that you were sporting last week. So how's that working out for you?
Yeah, it's been great. Freeing, really. You know, don't really have to worry about it anymore. Yes, Harman did have a role in it. You know, he made that decision a little while ago, and yeah, it's honestly I not having to worry about, you know, how much hair is in my towel when I dry it off is it's kind of nice. So yeah, it's been freeing, and yeah, I kind of like it. So all good.
I mean, you guys are wearing caps all the time anyway, so you don't even need to worry about applying extra sunscreen or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to even out the tan line a little bit. I don't want to get out of hand, but yeah, I've always worn a lot of hats anyways, so it's really hard to tell most of the time.
I think Stuart Sink, from memory, had the most egregious one many years ago when he took off the cap. You could literally see it was like a pencil mark.
Yes, it was, and he had the half moon at the back with the hat. So I think I'm gonna have to switch to a fitted hat to get rid of that at least.
Yeah, man. Listen, his number one goal this year for Sepp Straka being in New York in September.
For sure, yeah, that would be the number one thing I'd like to do this year. It's, you know, you'd think that playing in Rome would be kind of a bucket list item, check it off, but it just kind of makes you want to do it even more the next time around. And yeah, that's number one goal. Got a lot of things I've got to check off before that's a reality. But yeah, just try to keep improving my game and keep putting myself in good positions, and hopefully that can work out.
Just try to describe to us what Rome was like.
It's hard to describe because it exceeded my expectations were really high going into the week, and it exceeded every expectations that I had. It was so special. You know, just standing on that first tee on Friday with Shane, and the crowd was just unbelievable, and all week long. I mean, in the practice rounds and the tournament rounds, it was just a very, very incredible environment. And yeah, I would imagine the environment's going to be different, but that team room's still going to feel the same in New York. And yeah, I think I'm you know, really looking forward to try to play some good golf and work my way onto the team.
I've seen Shane say that one of the many reasons you were alongside him was you're even keeled, and it was to calm Shane down. And when Victor chips in on the first hole on that first morning, Shane's going bonkers on the first tee box, but you started going bonkers as well. So you were both going crazy.
Yeah, that you know, I thought it was his role to calm me down. You know, I was the rookie here,
did you?
so I guess we both misunderstood the assignment there. But yeah, I was nervous, shaking, about to hit the first tee shot, and then when that ball went in, I see Shane's two tee boxes down there just jumping around and pumping up the crowd, and yeah, then I was really nervous after that, but it just made it so much fun to have that kind of an environment, especially early on in the week. It was incredible just right out of the gates to have that. And yeah, we had such a good time together.
What was so noticeable from the outside looking in, and I've since spoken to Rory and Shane and Fitz and Tommy about this, is you did form bonds that will last for life. Like, you came out as a family by the end of the week. And I think that started before you even got to Rome. That was when you did your little trip over there, the week of Wentworth as well. And Luke it was all the little touches that Luke got so right. That sort of familiarization trip a couple of weeks before, how important was that? I mean, I hear stories about, sharing stories around a campfire, and that's when the players really came close together.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that was huge. That practice trip was incredible. Have all the guys there, have all the caddies there. We had, it was a full team environment, not just the players. It was from vice captains to caddies to support staff to everything, and just familiarizing with yourself with that. And it was a really special week. And yeah, that's something that will stay with us forever. And yeah, I think Luke did such an incredible job of kind of making it personal and making it just feel very almost intimate with each other. And it was just really well done by them.
And I think what we've always traditionally been so good at this side of the pond is parking your egos at the door that week. And the likes of Ludwig and Nikolai, who must have been in awe of the likes of Rory and John Ram, said, no, we were 12 equals, and Rory and John were opening up about their vulnerabilities and their struggles. And that really just made them feel so much part of a team.
Yeah, for sure. Just having those superstars and also vice captains that were legends of the game, just be just another guy, just normal people that you'd love to have breakfast with and lunch with, and talk about your round and talk about life. And that, I feel like that made it so special to that way you weren't almost intimidated by your own team. You weren't ever standing over. I was never standing over a shot thinking, man, I better hit this good or Shane's gonna be mad at me, or anything like that. There was no worries. It was just made you feel really free, and yeah, made it a lot of fun.
How many times over the course of the week did Jose Maria Lazabal make you cry?
His stories, they'll either make you cry or cry laughing. It's incredible. He's been a part of so many and so many great moments in the game, and having him there was just he was one of those examples, just so special to have him there and be able to it just makes you feel like a part of something special. And yeah, we were, and it was that's something we'll never forget.
You've lived in the States since the age of what, 14?
14,
right?
Yeah.
I'm sure this is a question you've been asked before, but do you culturally feel more American or European? And is that something that changed that week, maybe in Rome?
I would say I'm kind of split in certain areas. I love baseball and I love football, soccer. It's just I'm kind of split in that way. My dad's Austrian, mom's American, so my whole upbringing, whether I was living in Austria or in the States, was very much multicultural. I'm very thankful for that. It's a very unique position that I'm in, but yeah, growing up playing for Austria in the junior European junior championships, the European team championships, all that was also very special. And I guess that's why I kind of decided to play for Austria. Most of my golf upbringing was Austria, and I played for the Austrian flag a lot growing up. And I'm very proud to support Austria in that sense.
When was the last time someone called you Josef? Are you in trouble when someone calls you that?
No, my parents have not called me Josef ever, but I do have some friends that would mess with me a little bit that call me Josef. So yeah.
Usually, if I get James, it's from my mum, and I know that I've done something wrong.
You've done something wrong.
That's why I asked. You mentioned you like your football, and do you have a team in England?
I do. Tough right now, Man U. It's tough sledding, but hopefully with the new coach we can turn things around. Hasn't been the hottest start, but I like what he's saying with in his interviews. He's kind of admitting the fact that it's not very good right now and it's got to change. And I think the first step to changing is admitting that we're not in the right place. And looking forward to hopefully some changes coming soon.
What sort of challenge then, pushing forward to September, what sort of challenge awaits us at Bethpage? I've been there. I know what New Yorkers are like. It's going to be an absolute bear pit.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very crazy environment. I think a big thing is handling pressure is going to be huge, because I think we'll be feeling a lot of pressure from a lot of different sides and a lot of different angles. And yeah, I think being mentally strong will be huge for the 12 that go. And yeah, I think that's something you can kind of start preparing for. You'll never have that environment, but you can definitely start preparing for that early in the year and throughout the year leading up to it.
Yeah, I think by having Luke and obviously Dodo alongside him still in place, that gives us the best sort of possible head start, the best chance, doesn't it?
No doubt, yeah. I mean, their preparation started, I think, the day after Rome. They were already getting ready for the next one, even though we didn't know for sure that Luke was going to be the captain. But yeah, it's great what they're doing. I mean, I think no stone will be left unturned with those guys preparing us for that tournament. And yeah, I think whoever the 12 are will be as ready as possible for that environment.
And we certainly hope that you're one of those 12, Sepp. I look forward to it already. A lot of golf to be played before then, but if I don't see you beforehand, see you in New York in September.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. Hope so.
Tyler, if Sepp is still playing at this level come September, not only is he nailed on to be on Luke's team in New York, but he will be someone that Luke actually leans on quite a lot.
Yeah, very possibly. If he keeps winning on the PGA Tour, of course, then he's going to be there by right. Only 6 people make the team, by qualification there, of course. The worldwide points, different system this year. And there's a lot of good players out there, so no guarantee at all that Sepp will qualify. He did perform well at Marco Stimoni, and his game does set up very nicely, especially for foursomes golf, you would think. He's a very straight, accurate hitter of the ball. He's calm, he's got experience now. And you would imagine he would be an ideal candidate to play a big part in that team at Bethpage. But there are a lot of good players out there, and form now doesn't necessarily mean that form is going to be there in September. Horses for courses. Luke Donald definitely looking at picking a team with those 6 picks that he's got that are ideal for the challenge of Bethpage, not just good golfers. So yeah, it will be interesting to see whether he makes it. I think he will. He's top quality. He's on form. So I'd be very surprised if he wasn't there.
What a golf swing as well. I mean, it's pure, that golf swing, isn't it?
Yeah, nice and simple. Yeah, he goes about his business in a nice, simple way. He's not, he's not overly long. He certainly probably about average off the tee, if maybe just slightly longer. Hasn't got the firepower of a McIlroy and so forth. But he's just a good golfer, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's clean, he's tidy, he knows where the ball's going, and he's able to win when he gets the chance. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't go ahead and win again. A little bit of a setback yesterday, going out with a leader and then finishing 7th. It looked like a step up for him, to be honest with you. No doubt about that. In the company of Laurie and McIlroy, but he may well just learn from that. And the next thing on his agenda is to maybe nab one of these signature events, a real big one, a contender in a couple of majors, right to the very closing stages this year, just to remind Luke that he is absolutely top quality.
I mean this in the nicest possible way, and I hope it doesn't come across as disrespectful, but when he qualified for that team at Rome, or when he was picked, I should say, for the team in Rome, he almost struck me as a bit of an odd man out in that he didn't play a lot of golf in the DP World Tour. He's got an American accent, but we were just hearing from him. He is a proud Austrian still, and I think he felt more European as that week went on in Rome. He's forged this close friendship now with Shane Lowry as well, and he now does feel like part of the European team, even if he's still got that Georgia accent.
Yeah, very much so. And I think especially more and more Europeans clearly are playing on the PGA Tour with the collaboration that we've got. Rasmus Højgaard, he started his campaign again this year at Pebble Beach last year. So there's a bigger and bigger contingent playing in America all the time. Many of those are Ryder Cup players. Yeah, and I think he feels like part of the family. Doesn't play on the DP World Tour all that much. We'd love to see him more, of course, at the right times of the year. But yeah, once you play in that Ryder Cup, you feel a little bit different about European golf, I think. It was a good thing he was there, and probably a good thing for him too.
This week in the world of golf, we've got the Phoenix Open and the PGA Tour, of course, as always, on Super Bowl weekend, the carnage of the 16th and all that jazz. The Qatar Masters, Laurie will be teeing it up there, and the DP World Tour is good pal, who's having dinner with us as we speak, friend of the pod, Eddie Pepperell, champion there 7 years ago. And on the LPGA Tour, it's the Founders Cup in Florida, defending champion Rose Zhang, world number 1 Nelly Korda, Lydia Ko, Charlie Hull making her first start of the year, all in the field for that one. Quick one, Howler, the Phoenix Open, that 16th, love it or hate it, it is Marmite.
Yeah, it is. Well, do you know what? I wish I'd played in it. So I think probably I'll love it. Once a year, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, not all the players like it. It is Marmite. But as Laurie said earlier, iconic holes in one, the Tiger one. If you could, can you think of anywhere better than hole in one there in front of everybody? Probably not. So I think it's a good thing. Good for golf. 1 week a year. Get out there. Get abused. Take 20,000 alongside 155 other pros, and may the best man win.
Yeah, for 1 week a year, we don't mind it. Howler, that about does us. Thank you so much for your time. First episode from me, successfully negotiated. Did I get the gig? Did I get the full-time gig? What do you think? Marks out of 10?
I think we'll leave it 2 or 3, and then we'll assess. You need to get better guests. You get rid of me.
That's
get
true.
Some A-listers in. Yeah,
sorry. We're doing the best we can with the Z-listers. If you've liked what you've heard or watched today, make sure you give us a follow, a like, or subscribe wherever you're listening or watching. Thank you to Callaway for sponsoring the podcast. We will be back every Monday with more of golf's biggest names. Do have a great week, and I hope you join us again this time next week.